Now, here's the deal. Your income is determined by who you study with and their input. When I was bankrupt, luckily I'd sold enough. Somebody gave me a tape. I listened to this one tape 287 times. I wrote the guy who made the tape, who was the dean of speakers in America, Cavett Robert. He wrote me back a handwritten note and said, come to this meeting down in Phoenix. I had no money. I had 2 people put up a credit card so I could fly down to Phoenix and see Cavett Robert. He welcomed me in, and he was as big as I am, and he was patting me on the shoulder and said, I'm so glad you're here. But during the talk, he said, if you can't write a whole book, write a chapter and do a multi-authored book. I went, I can do that. I hit the guy next to me, Keith Green. I said, can you edit? He said, I was editor of Law School Journal. I said, good, I'll get 14 people in this room to put up $2,000 each. That year I sold 10,000 books at $20 each, made basically $200,000 minus $1 a book. All because I studied with people who knew how to make money. If your income is the average of the 5 to 7 people's income that you hang with. If you hang with poor people, you get poor. Last night I had dinner here in your city, down on here with 2 billionaires. If you hang with people that are really well off, you get to be extraordinarily well off. Everyone say, I can do this. Everyone? Now, the question is, what do you really want? Everyone take your hands out and say, there's a golden egg in front of me. Everyone, if you get clear about what you want, you can have it. And there's 7 categories of goals as far as I'm concerned. This is picturesque. I'd ask you tonight to write 101 goals. How many goals? I want you to do it in 20 minutes. How many minutes? I want you to pretend you're 12 years old. And there's no limits. So first of all, under your earning power, you want to write, I'm so happy I'm earning how much? Now remember, $1 million, you got to blow past all the other numbers first. And then you want to do your net worth. Then you want to say, well, what would I like to do for fun time? And you figure that out. And then you say, well, what would I like to do with family and relationships? So my recommendation is, how many of you have children or grandkids? Could I see raise hands? Is on a weekly basis, if it's possible for you, you sit knee to knee with your kids and your spouse, and you say, look, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how is our relationship? If you got teenagers like I do, if you can get to a 7, you're doing great. Social goals. What do you want to do socially? And what kind of experiences do you want to have? Like in the last year, I've climbed Kilimanjaro in Africa, and I just climbed Machu Picchu and did 479 flights of stairs a day, and then we climbed Machu Picchu afterward just to see. Because I want to see how good a shape I can be in, because I plan on living another 67 healthful, vigorous years. What do you want to do spiritually? Like one of my students said, look, Mark, you can get with anyone. I was born in China, and I think what we did to the Dalai Lama in Tibet is immoral. Can you get me with the Dalai Lama? I said, yeah. We got with His Holiness. I said, Your Holiness, my student, Larry, has done really well in Silicon Valley. He's made so much money. He wants to buy back Tibet and have his friends help and raise $10 billion, buy it back from the Chinese, and give it to you. For the next 5 minutes, the Dalai Lama laughed uproariously, and I thought, oh, my God. Man, if I had low self-esteem, I'd go under the carpet. But then I've only seen auras twice in my life, and I saw pink energy emanating off this guy towards me, and I thought, wow, this is pretty cool. I said, Your Holiness, I just got to be clear. Do you want me to do it or do you not want me to do it? He says, Mark, I want you to do it. And this guy's doing it now. It's amazing what you can do. But you got to get yourself financially free, and you got to get out of limitation, and you got to get out of stuckness, and you got to get out of being a wage slave. You got to decide that you're going to have money freedom, which buys you time freedom. Time freedom gives you relationship freedom. I take 90 days off a year. Relationship freedom gives you spiritual freedom, so you can figure out who you are in your higher power, whatever you call that. There's 367 names for it. And then what you want to do is get to your genius freedom, because you're here to be a genius. Point at your temple and say, I'm here to be a genius. Nelson Mandela said, who of us by living small adds anything to the world? So you got giant spiritual availability. Back to money. How much money do you want? If you've never written it down and written down what you're going to give yourself, both in earning power and net worth, Net worth is assets minus liabilities equals net worth. And then what you got to write down is by when. When are you going to give it to yourself? And put it on the calendar and feelingly believe it before you go to sleep. When you go to sleep at night, you close your other eyes, you tilt your inner eyes up at a 45-degree angle, you listen to a little Pachelbel canon in D, and you visualize to realize you go into your future and bring it back from the future, so to speak. Now, quickly, we're going to add music. We'll turn up the music for 30 seconds. But write down, what are your 10 best income opportunities right now? If you'd write it down, please. You get to continue that when you get home. And remember, you're going to write 101 goals tonight. And this cartoon says that if we pull this off, we get to eat like kings. Around the world, as I travel, I ask people, what are the 10 things you want to do before your lifetime's over? And most people say, well, I want to own my own business. Then you write it down, and if you really go into deeper consciousness and you sit there meditatively and you have an idea notebook or a future diary or a journal, you write down, what is it that I'd like to do? When Oprah Winfrey is sitting with Steven Spielberg and making the movie Color Purple, Steven Spielberg is journaling, and he writes down he's going to have his own company. He's going to call it DreamWorks, and he's going to make $1 billion a year. Oprah is sitting with him and says, Stephen, can I copy that in my journal? She takes her company, her name, Oprah, does it backwards and calls it Harpo Productions, and she writes down, I'm going to be making $1 billion a year, and she's the first woman in America ever to make $1 billion. Remember what I said, the minute you write it down, it is already true. All you do is catch up to it. When I was bankrupt, I wrote down, I will travel around the world, get to speak to giant audiences like this. I saw you in my dreams, in my vision, in my imagination 33 years ago. And that's why you're in my dreams, so thank you for being here. Give yourself a round of applause for being in my dreams 33 years ago, if you don't mind. Thank you. I want you to have big dreams where you're your own boss. I want you to have dreams that you get to run for an elected office with or without pay. A little harder in this country. The lady on TV this morning interviewing me says, we are a benevolent democracy. I said, the world sees it different, but good for you. Anyhow, you might... He's done a great job. You've got a glorious country with lots of greenery and very little poverty, so I'm very keen on Singapore. Whoops. Ed said be a volunteer. How many of you want to travel more than you've ever traveled? Can I see a raise of hands? There's a book you want to read called 1,001 Places You Got to Visit Before You Die. Like I just took my friends and we just hiked down the Grand Canyon. Now, when I took my dad to the Grand Canyon, I said, Dad, this took 100 million years. He said, a government job? We did have a soup pie, which is just extraordinarily glorious, a week ago. This one says you want to write a book or an article or a poem or something and get it published. You want to own your own home. How many of you already own your own home? Can I see your hands? If you don't, and that would be important to you, just write it down. I'm so happy I'm owning my own home, and visualize to realize how many bedrooms you got, the kind of kitchen you got, the bathroom, the living room, the dining room. When you visualize with your eyes closed, what is the scenery you want to see outside, or a condo, whatever it is that you want, because you can have it if you get it in your mind. You want to own stocks and bonds, or maybe you want to sell some and individualize that and individuate that, because you can pull off anything that you want. Do you want to participate in a play or theater or something outrageous? And then this is easy for most of you. Exceed your parents' educational level. 40 years ago, before Senior Minister Lee, this was a backwater country, and one guy had the vision. One guy decided to make a difference. One guy decided to take you to the #1 airport, the #1 seaport, the #1 airline. Right now, you're the #3 financial port. And on the TV today, the lady says, well, can we be #1? I said, the deal is, once you're #1 something, you can be #1 a lot of things. Like right now, we're the #1 best-selling book, but I've just finished the play called Chicken Soup for the Soul play. Within a year, we'll have it come here. I predict that I'm going to become bigger than Andrew Lloyd Webber because I did all the music with the #1 lyricist in America, Paul Williams, the guy who wrote all the Sesame Street music, Barbra Streisand's #1 songs, The Carpenters, and now he's got the #1 play in New York on Broadway with Gary Marshall called Happy Days. It used to be a TV show, and now it's a play in Broadway. You can do a lot of stuff if you just write it down. I've got over 6,000 goals in writing. Actually, 6,826. But, when you write a goal, you've got it, and then you just catch up to it. And minimally, you want to keep educating, and you need to keep coming to the TANS meetings because these are important to do. Now, the question is, are there people in your profession earning 10 times as much as you do? And the answer is obviously yes. Why? They've professionalized themselves to accelerate their income and accelerate their life and make it better for them and make it better for everyone else. Nelson Mandela, I said this to you, who of us by playing small adds anything to the world? He's in his 80s. I'm working with him now to end 100 million landmines in the world. That's his legacy goal. In Mozambique in August, we are flying over with Richard Branson in a little hot air balloon. We've got a machine that shows exactly where the landmines are. We can tell if people are there. We can go 30 feet in the ground. We can blow them up instantly. Then Branson's got a new